The following program is presented by the HTM Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Talk, powered by thegorillaphysician.com and a proud part of the Roar Network, presented by the Hitting the Marks Podcast Network. Now in association with IndiePW.com. We are sponsored by collarandelbowbrand.com, where you can get 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast at the checkout. In partnership with HypeCityVapors.com, where you can get 15% off all your e-juice for your vape by using promo code JKPodcast. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TB Talk Pod. Listen to us on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcast, CastBox, and all those other podcatchers out there. As always, I'm Karl Karufel.
And I'm Big Joe.
And welcome back to Turnbuckle Talk.
Yes, Karl, another week has come and gone in the world of professional wrestling, and there's a lot kind of going on here. What's interesting with, I was just thinking while we were kind of dealing with some Skype stuff here, you know what's really cool with Skype here, Karl, is that, well, especially our listeners won't be able to tell, and even you won't be able to tell, is I can literally do this recording, this podcast, not wearing pants, and nobody would ever know.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
The beauty of doing Skype, it's only from about, I'd say, chest height up. So that's why one of the reasons it can be kind of comfortable as we do this, and nobody will ever know. I think maybe we just kind of gave it away, or at least you gave it away.
Well, I'll clarify. I'm wearing underwear.
There we go. A little peek behind the curtain for you guys here at Turnbuckle Talk. Okay, Karl, let's start.
A little peek in the drawers.
God damn it. Okay, let's start off with some interesting stuff here, Karl. We're talking about Matt Hardy, and he's been dropping hints like crazy about what's going on with him. Clearly, things are kind of on the rocks, and looks like his contract is going to be up with WWE fairly soon. And there was one video promo in particular. I forget exactly how kind of it was worded, but just the way it was really clever the way he did it, because as he was kind of talking, he made reference to like all these other companies, like I could go somewhere and make an impact. I mentioned kind of Ring of Honor, mentioned AEW. It was really clever. He posted on, I believe it was on his Twitter account, and it was interesting. Really interesting. I love the way he did it, because it's leaving room and space for speculation for guys like us.
Definitely it is. I mean, Matt Hardy is one of those guys that can definitely reinvent himself into any character that he really wants to. Yeah. And I mean, this here clearly shows that just like Eminem, this guy is a lyrical genius. He can take his words and mix them up and mash them up and do whatever he wants with them to make us believe that he is going somewhere, or to make us believe that he is in talks with that person. And it's totally believable coming from Matt Hardy. Speculations running rampant right now in the internet wrestling community, talking about, does this mean he's going here? Does this mean he's going there? Does this mean, he's the, higher power? Does this mean, like what's going on with Matt Hardy?
Well, let's do our own speculation here, Karl. Where do you think he's going, and in what capacity does he operate in said place?
I think that the genius of Matt Hardy, he is not going to go to just one company. He will not sign a contract and keep himself independent to allow him to work Impact, Ring of Honor, AEW, MLW. Yeah. Let's say Ignite, Canadian Wrestling's Elite, Southern Championship. I mean, any of these companies that are out there could possibly get Matt Hardy if he stays in this independent contracted professional wrestler.
Interesting. I think he does sign somewhere, and I have it narrowed down to 2 places. And in both places, I feel it would be split between a backstage, like a producer role, and as an in-ring talent. And I think the destination would either be Ring of Honor, given all the stuff going on there with Marty. Things seem to be kind of back on the ascendancy in Ring of Honor, and also NWA. I could also see Matt showing up there. The character work would be perfect for the NWA, and he could do some stuff behind the scenes there as well. So I think, given that kind of what's going on, he could show up in both places because they seem to have kind of a spoken or kind of like a handshake agreement there going on. So that's where I think he ends up.
Either way, I think any company that is able to get even Matt Hardy just in for one show is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Matt Hardy, he's getting up there in age. Definitely he is. He's been in the business a long time. Anywhere he goes, he is going to be that household name. He's going to be the draw, and it doesn't matter. He is going to do fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Having said that, I think once he ends up where he ends up, he's got to tell the wife to kind of shut the fuck up on social media, because Rebby has no filter, kind of like what I just kind of said there a little bit. She needs to kind of stay off there and not ruin things for him, because she kind of has a short fuse, and when she kind of is poked and prodded by the internet wrestling community out there, she just kind of goes off on these tirades and whatnot. She needs to kind of tone it down with the stuff, because she, at some point, you can only kind of put up with so much of this stuff. I know that they've had a long relationship now, but at some point, he might kind of say, hey, you know what, you're kind of messing things up for me here.
Yeah, in a way, yes, but again, I go back to an Eric Bischoff quote: "Controversy creates cash."
Sometimes,
right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it does. And in some aspects, I think Rebby and her tirades, sometimes they're better.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're good for the character of Matt Hardy. Sometimes they're detrimental. Yes. But it's hard to silence people.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what, no matter if it's your spouse or not, it's hard to silence people. And the internet is this open forum for anybody and everybody to say whatever they want, with seemingly no repercussions coming from it. So, yeah, should she tone it down? Definitely. I think she should.
Yeah.
Yes. But to stay completely off and not a little bit controversial, I think would be a bad thing as well.
Kind of in the same vein as this, Karl, over with AEW right now. Recently, there's the whole thing with Nyla Rose winning the championship. She came out this week on AEW Dynamite and kind of did a promo there with Tony Schiavone, and completely kind of came off as, it came off very, very negative. She kind of let's just say that her sir was showing. I think I'll kind of word it that way. And kind of in that same vein, the fallout from that too, Val Venus kind of getting into it with Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes just kind of saying, oh, you're just a washed up mid-carder looking for a spot here. Dude, AEW, they need to hire some kind of PR person to get the stuff under control, because they need to, because this is very damaging doing this kind of stuff. They need somebody to kind of say, okay, you can't say that. You need to say something. This is you're kind of high up in the company here. You need to watch what you say. They need to hire a PR person to kind of control all this kind of stuff going on, because this isn't good if this continues.
Again, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
To a certain extent, though. To a certain extent, when it's damaging the company,
or Val Venus or whatever wants to go out there and, give his opinion on things.
Yeah. It's not so much his opinion; it's Cody's response to his opinion that they need to watch that. They need somebody to say, "Hey, you can't say that. You're an executive producer in this company. You need to be careful what you say."
True, and being careful in what you say, I definitely get that. But just to sit back and just leave it isn't a good thing either, because then it's like, oh, so you can say whatever you want, just walk all over us and our company and our brand and what we're doing, and we're perfectly okay with it because we're not saying anything about it, that is totally wrong. No, you have to stand up for your company. You have to stand up for the talent that you have in that company. You have to stand up for the decisions that have been made, right?
Sometimes
there's ways to go about it,
Yeah.
right? There definitely is, but you can't just sit idly by and not do or say anything about it.
See, with that, I'll go back to something that my mom taught me a long time ago, and I think sometimes it does kind of apply, especially in this kind of scenario. If you don't have anything good to say about somebody, maybe don't say anything at all. And in that way, nothing can be used against you or anything in kind of any direction. Sometimes the best thing to do, Karl, is just to not say anything. And I've learned this lesson myself, dealing with people on social media and whatnot. Sometimes just shut the hell up, and you're better off, honestly.
Sometimes you're right. Yep. Sometimes you are right.
Okay. Something that I'm not going to shut up about is this next thing, because I get it, but at the same time, not really digging it. We have an announcement for an induction to the WWE Hall of Fame coming up this WrestleMania here, Karl. This one I kind of suspected, but I was hoping maybe it wasn't going to happen, or at least save it for some time later. The Bella Twins getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. What do you think about this, man?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
How much money did they make for the WWE?
And in the world of kayfabe, I get it too. I get it. I understand it. But at the same time, there's I could definitely see some backlash. I don't think that this could be one of those things where the viewership for the Hall of Fame ceremony might suffer because of this particular one, I think.
And it might. And I mean, if it does, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the WWE Hall of Fame is just a...
It's not what it used to be.
It's like a Mickey Mouse organization.
It's not what it used to be. Yeah.
Like, no, it definitely is not, right? Now it just seems to be, hey, let's put in, talent that's made money for us and that people like, and let's throw them in there, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.
It just becomes more of a show and a spectacle, as opposed to, actually being like a legitimate Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
But in regards to the Bella Twins, I'm fine with them going in. I mean, they came in, they made an impact in the company. They allowed them to be champion for quite a while. They pulled in a lot of money for the WWE. They're still pulling in money for the WWE when it comes to like total Bellas and total Divas and all of this stuff. So, I mean, it's all still there, and it's all still revenue and stuff that they essentially pioneered and is continuing on. So, I mean, to give recognition to them for the stuff that they've done, maybe not necessarily their in-ring work, because we all know that was not, to the caliber of like a Natalia or something
anybody,
like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, definitely not. But the impact that they've made in the world of professional wrestling, different story.
Yeah. See,
so, like, Natalia hasn't had that type of an impact in the world of professional wrestling. No. They have. Yeah. So, I'm fine with it. Whatever.
My most recent memory of them is just when, I think, when Brie came back for like a short little run, she did this suicide dive to the outside and just like completely like face planted, like flat, and like just flattened out on the floor. Like, it was really, really bad. Now, having said that, Karl, who do you think inducts them? Because I have a couple options.
Daniel Bryan.
That's what I was thinking too. And then the out of left field one, if they wanted to kind of get that moment, John Cena.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would be different too.
Yeah. Now, my kind of thing with this too is that I fear that it might not get to like Mr. T or Goldberg bad, but you can just know this is going to be a self-indulgent mess with these two when they get up there, right? It's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I already know that it's going to be just, big self-promotion for Birdie B and all of this stuff. Yeah. Like, definitely it is. Like, I get it.
Birdie B, yes.
Right? Like, I mean, that's their clothing line. That's the stuff that they've created. That's, workout gear and all of this different stuff. Like, they've created that. Cool. Awesome. And they're going to self-promote that. And I'm sure that this is a way for the WWE to allow them to self-promote their Birdie B brand, as well as Total Bellas, Total Divas, all of those different shows that are out there for them, because they continue with those shows to make money for the WWE.
Yeah.
So I mean that's what it's going to be, and definitely I mean you can tell that Nikki is that Nikki is kind of that more outspoken, brash, and Brie is more the subdued type, right? The more reserved. So there's definitely going to be thanks given out to the pioneers of the women's division, and different women in the division that kind of helped them and brought them up, and stuff like that. So definitely that is going to be there, but I think it's just going to be more. That's going to be a quick little thing, and then more talk about Total Whatever and Birdie B.
The Total Whatever. Yes, that's how I kind of feel about it. Like I said, kind of going to this, I get it in the kayfabe perspective, but with this Hall of Fame here, Karl, and we don't know all of who's kind of getting in yet. It doesn't feel like it's really that exclusive club that it really started off as being. I mean, your first inductee, I mentioned him before, Andre the Giant, right? There's somebody who is kind of that Hall of Fame kind of larger than life kind of persona. Now it's just turned into every year we gotta just pick people to get in. It doesn't feel like that exclusive thing that it really should have stayed. But at the same time, just when you do this thing every single year, I think that's also part of the issue is that you got to pick somebody, right? So it's almost the type of thing where maybe it shouldn't be done so often, and it would feel more exclusive. I don't know.
Well, I mean, sticking to true WWE fashion, the WWE Hall of Fame has just become a spectacle.
Yeah,
that's all it's become. It's become another big event that's happening during WrestleMania weekend, and that's that.
Yeah.
If for those of you that are listening, you might not be aware of this. There is another Hall of Fame out there. It's called the Cauliflower Alley Club Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Go and check that out.
Yeah.
Go and check out the list of people that are in the Cauliflower Alley Club and the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
There are names there that deserve to be in a Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. You just hinted at our Showstopper segment, but we'll get to that. Nice kind of distant segue there, but still cool. Before we continue, I'll put you on the spot a little bit here, Karl. So I just thought of this. Off the top of your head, what's one of your favorite WWE Hall of Fame moments? I have a real obvious one that stands out to me.
I mean, like we're talking actual moment, or we're talking like inductee?
Yeah, let's go moment.
Moment,
yeah.
Honestly, there isn't one that really stands out. I mean, besides the like botches, like Mr. T, right? Like, I mean, I got to thank my mama, because without my mama, I wouldn't be here, because my mama is the one that created me, and my mama fed me, and my mama clothed me, and my mama this, and my mama that, and my mama jamba.
And then the camera pans over to Roddy Piper, and people listening won't be able to see this, but you just see Piper do the face palm. He's like, "Oh my god!" Yeah. And then he kind of keeps going and going, and then Kane's music drops, and he's like, "Time to wrap it up." I mean, that's still my favorite moment from the WWE, just given the comedy factor, and whoever kind of was thinking on their toes to do that, fantastic. It was great.
Yeah, and you talk about Kane. I mean, Kane's been used in a few, like Pete Rose as well. Yeah. Right, Pete Rose's Hall of Fame induction, like that was a good induction as well. That was a good moment there too.
Yeah,
because the whole history behind everything, you had to kind of bring that out. So that was really cool too.
Yeah.
But I mean, nothing really predominantly stands out when it comes to, it's more the people, the talent that got in, as opposed to. What about you? What's yours?
The when we were just talking about Mr. T's Hall of Fame induction, that is still my favorite moment, just given the comedy and kind of what unfolded there. Like I said, whoever made the call to bring Kane out, just genius in my mind. Kind of thinking in the moment there, I almost kind of want to go back and just watch that, just to enjoy that again, because it was a fun kind of moment. And God bless Mr. T. He was a good sport about it too. So.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to really choose one that really sticks in my mind, I mean, definitely. And I think it sticks in my mind because of the circumstances that happened afterwards. But the Ultimate Warrior, and just everything that transpired over the entire history, and then coming to really being back in not necessarily good graces, but back in graces with the WWE. And then they did the whole, like lead up with, with him, and they did all these different videos and stuff with him, and meeting, Vince again, and the two of them hugging things out. And then, just even the Hall of Fame speech that he gave, just how eerily fitting it was that he, the words that he used, and then like the next night again in the ring on Raw, like everything that he said and he did, and then to find out that like he's gone.
Yeah.
Right. It was very emotional, and that's probably the one that sticks out the most is Ultimate Warriors.
Arguably one of the most polarizing characters in professional wrestling of all time. And like you had mentioned, almost kind of fitting that, he was able to kind of patch things over and smooth things over, even behind the scenes there, shaking hands and kind of making up with people that there wasn't necessarily really a lot of positive things that happened there. So he kind of buried the hatchet with a lot of people, and then was gone. So it, like you had said, it was almost kind of fitting the way that all kind of played out. And at least he had a chance to kind of make things right with some people before he left this world. So I know there's still some people that are really bitter and that he wronged, or however you want to kind of word it. I mean, you can just go watch some of the material yourself and make a judgment for yourself on the Ultimate Warrior. I was never necessarily a big fan of him. For me, it was at that time I was a Piper guy. And at that time, a lot of people were either a Hogan or a Warrior guy. I really didn't like either of them, but I mean, Warrior, he was all character, and that's something that's pretty subjective. I thought that his in-ring work left a lot to be desired. He was kind of one of these guys, almost kind of similar to Goldberg. It was just all character, very quick. Just get your few things in and get out, and just make that impact with the crowd. And that's essentially what the Ultimate Warrior was.
Yeah, definitely he was. And I mean, I was a fan of the Ultimate Warrior. Growing up, it was, the face paint, and then it was the colorful tassels that were on him, and he was a big guy, and just the energy and everything that he had there. I mean, I was a fan of the Ultimate Warrior. Yep. It's almost as though he knew, that he knew for a while, and he just kept holding out and holding off and holding off until he was able to, have that reconciliation with Vince. And then he was like, okay, I can go.
Yeah.
Right. Not saying that is what happened. Not saying that is, because I don't know unless he decides to, come to me as a spirit and tell me that I'm right. I have no clue, but that's just speculation and kind of how it feels. Yeah. It felt like he knew that he was ready to just let go of life. Even though, like, even with Warrior and everything that he was doing, he was very positive with everything, and he was very upbeat and telling everybody, like, you have to be positive and you have to continue on and you have to, all of this stuff. Yeah. It almost seems like he knew, and he was just like, hey, this reconciliation is good. I'm good.
We criticized WWE a lot recently for messing things up with current characters and current wrestlers, but this isn't something that's relatively new. This has been going all the way back to even the Ultimate Warrior before. With the Warrior, I mean, they had him really hot, and then they completely buried the Ultimate Warrior character when they did that Papa Shango voodoo thing, and they had him throwing up. And so after that, the Ultimate Warrior was never the same. And so their mess-ups aren't just exclusive to now. They've done them before too, folks. And he was one of those ones where it was a huge ball drop. I think at that point, he maybe wasn't as hot. He wasn't maybe at the peak, but they really killed the character at that point. So
they did.
Okay, something that is fairly positive. I think it's actually an interesting positive if it still ends up panning out this way, which I hope it does. Charlotte is going to be doing some stuff with NXT for a little while, building up to this match with the NXT champion going into WrestleMania. And it looks like it's going to be, she's going to work, looks like this coming week, a match on NXT, which is interesting.
Why? What's wrong with the talent they have in NXT?
Well,
Why do they need to bring Charlotte over?
I mean, I think that's the title that she had to basically go after, right? Given all the circumstances, I think.
I mean, she's been on the main roster for how long now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? You have all this other talent that's available on NXT. Why are you taking people from the main roster and bringing them into NXT? It makes no sense to me.
Hey, I think that their current champion, I think it just feels like a lot more legit than I think, especially the SmackDown Women's Champion, which I've honestly lost track of of who's got what championship now because there's just too many of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I just unless they're trying to get more viewerships on Wednesday when it comes to NXT.
Yeah.
Maybe I can see that. Maybe like the WWE is kind of trying to do like this Monday Night War.
Yeah.
With AEW on Wednesday nights. Maybe they're and that could be a reason why. Other than that, I mean, I have no clue and no understanding as to why.
I think Rhea Ripley's probably the hottest women's champion going in WWE right now, and I think that's what they want to capitalize on going to WrestleMania. I think. And this match that Charlotte's going to be doing, I think she's matching up with Bianca Belair, if I'm not mistaken, and that's an interesting matchup because I mean Bianca Belair, she's somebody who is going to be somebody of significance when she, whether she stays in NXT or whether she gets called up or whatever you want to do. I mean, she's got star written all over her too. So that's
so then why are we not using Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley to enhance the NXT brand?
Hey, that's open to interpretation, I guess. I think that they're looking to have some crossover appeal between the brands. Who knows, man? But honestly, I think that was the title that I think it was pretty much a given that she was going to go for that one because I mean Rhea's the hottest women's champion in the company right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. I just now you're burying everyone else that's on the NXT roster in my mind, right? Like,
I think that
they're not good enough to have a match with Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania.
See, I think it has the opposite effect. I think that it brings it to more significance when you have Charlotte, arguably one of the best women's talent going in WWE, wanting to challenge for this. I think it actually elevates the women's championship, given that she's picking that over the other two. I think it's actually having the reverse effect.
So, out of Raw, SmackDown, NXT, what's the best, hottest brand right now?
NXT, I think, clearly.
So why do they need Charlotte to go and enhance the women's title on NXT? They need to use Charlotte to enhance the Raw or SmackDown title instead.
Yeah. I just don't know if I don't think I don't think that they can in those circumstances. Plus, she's worked them all before several times. That's another factor in it too. This is a fresh matchup too, so I think that they have that going for it as well.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
No?
I'm not a fan of it at all. NXT is already your hottest brand. Why do you need to bring in a talent from the main roster to have a match with the hottest brand? I mean, what's going to happen? Charlotte's going to win. She's going to take the title over to Raw or SmackDown, and then NXT is left with nothing. Like
maybe
Charlotte's got to lose. Unless Charlotte is staying in NXT, Charlotte's losing.
Yep, that could be a possibility. And again, I think would really, it's interesting we have a different take on this, which I think is interesting because we're seeing things from completely the other perspective here. Like I said, I think that this really kind of elevates the NXT brand even more. It's not like I'm saying that they need it. It's not like it's suffering, but I think this just brings it up to the upper echelon, because I mean, a lot of us have been saying for a while now that this is arguably one of the best women's divisions in professional wrestling, and I think having Charlotte involved with this, I think just it solidifies that even more, in my opinion.
But it's already solidified, right? It's already the hottest brand,
and just given that with the other two brands, I mean, she's she's worked those other ones to death, that I think this was the logical move in the fresh matchup going into WrestleMania. I think I think it's the wise move, because it's not one of these ones where or she's facing Becky again, or she's facing Sasha again, or she's facing one of these other ones again. This is a matchup that we haven't seen yet, so there's some intrigue and some unknowns about what's going to kind of happen. That part of that I like.
I mean, I get that, but I mean, are there not other women on the roster on Raw and SmackDown that Charlotte could have a match with and elevate one of those so that we have another person that can be, instead of it being Becky and Charlotte?
I don't think any of them can step up and give her a good match. That's part of the problem, right? Who are you gonna have a match with? Lana? That's just one example, right? So
true.
Yeah.
But you have what about Natalya?
Natalya's one of those weird ones. I want to like her, but I mean, she's never been that upper echelon. I really don't know if she can get there. To be honest, I love Natalya. Don't get me wrong, but she's one of these. She's kind of like that gatekeeper kind of role, where she's just there to kind of help people get over and whatnot. She's never been that upper echelon in the women's division. I don't know if she can ever get to that point, to be perfectly honest with you. Nothing against her. I love Natalya, like I said, but she doesn't scream big super megastar. Charlotte, just by her presence and everything, screams super megastar, done properly. I'm trying so hard to sell this thing now. I'm trying.
I know, and it's
I feel like I'm
over with me.
I feel like I'm Piper trying to sell the gobbledygook on people here with this, folks. I mean, but just it's way better than that. Just give it a chance. It's going to be a good matchup at WrestleMania. It's going to be good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It definitely is going to be a good match. The two of them are very great workers. They can do some great stuff in that ring. So you've got your opinion, and I'm sure that there are other people out there that are totally in agreement with you.
Yes.
There might be people that are in agreement with me. People, go to our social media, at TB Talk Pod on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Let us know after you listen to this episode. Go there and let us know what you think on this topic.
There you go. Going outside of WWE for this next topic here, Karl, there were some interesting people that were kind of in attendance at the most recent episode of AEW. Now, this first one is kind of one that I think you would have to go back and watch and then kind of pause the action to kind of spot it. Because at one point during the Dark Orders segment on AEW Dynamite, there was a ex-WWE/ECW star in the crowd in the form of Raven. Now, Karl, do you read anything into this, or was he just there enjoying the show as a fan?
Definitely, I think that Raven has some sort of working deal that he has with AEW. What it is right now, I have no clue, and I don't even want to speculate on that right now. But, I mean, those of you that know Raven... clearly saw him. I didn't
catch it the first time.
Take that for a second there, and our friend over at the Gorilla Position, the editor-in-chief Ryan K. Bowman, he had posted something on Facebook about watching Dynamite, and I was watching live as well, and I replied on there. I'm like, is it just me, or did I just see Raven?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because the Dark Order went out there. They went out into the crowd, and literally everyone's moving. And then you see this guy just sitting there in a chair, not moving a muscle. I'm like, dude, is that Raven? Ooh, that's Raven. Yeah. Right? So, yeah, I mean, what it is, I don't know. Do you have any speculations?
Personally, I think that either... couple things here. I think he literally may have just been there as a fan. Maybe he was invited to go, hey, you want to come and watch one of our shows? And if you like kind of how things are, maybe there's some kind of backstage role or something. I think that's all that was. I don't think that he would be going there in any kind of in-ring capacity. I think it would be as a producer, some type of backstage involvement.
That I agree with, yeah.
Now, the other name notable that was there, apparently just kind of hanging around behind the scenes, is also kind of interesting, Austin Aries. Now, This one I have kind of mixed feelings about here, Karl, just because a couple things with Austin Aries, okay? I mean, as a talent and as a worker in the matches he's done, fantastic, right? The other side of this whole thing here is his whole attitude that he kind of has. Almost kind of every place that he's gone, there's usually kind of a big fallout. So my fear with this is that it could turn that into. I mean, I could see him doing very well there, but then it gets to that point where, hey, I'm entitled to this, entitled to this, entitled to this, and then they're just going to tell him to go away.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely
tough with
can
him.
see that
It's
as well. It seems to be the pattern.
Yeah,
that happens, which is unfortunate because, like
good.
you said,
He's so good.
Yeah,
just
double is amazing.
Yeah, his head gets way too big. He's his own worst enemy. I think is maybe a good way to kind of put it.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been out for a while. Like we haven't really seen him. We haven't seen him any matches. We haven't seen him doing any shows or anything like that.
He's burned so many bridges.
This might have been, a time for him to go and just sit back and kind of reflect on, hey, WWE went to the crapper, Impact went to the crapper, ROH kind of went to the crapper. What's going on? Yeah. Is it me? So maybe he's had time to reflect on the past employment that he has had, and hopefully kind of clicked and went, maybe it's me.
Maybe it's him. Yeah. Yeah, you could have some interesting matchups with him if they want to use him as an in-ring guy. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it just given the baggage that he has. Maybe he's learned his lesson. It's one of those things where we don't really know. It would just be a matter of, if they go with him, it would just be a matter of watching and seeing what happens. Because honestly, I don't know if it would necessarily work out. I mean, I would hope it would, but we just really don't know. So we'll see what happens kind of there. He may have just been one of these cases where they just kind of invited him to just kind of just show him around. Whether there's any kind of thing offered, we can't really say at this point.
Yes.
More AEW stuff here. Now, you watched Dynamite last week, right, Karl?
Yes, I did.
This main event match with Cody and Wardlow, and I gotta say, I haven't seen really of any of Wardlow's work previous to this. He held his own in there with Cody. I gotta say that right off the bat. And with first thing I want to kind of get to as well, with this cage, I wasn't a fan of just how this cage was kind of set up. It looked really flimsy, even when they were kind of getting thrown into the cage. Like, it was moving a lot, and there was actually a gap between, like a very narrow gap between the ring and the cage. So there's like a possibility that you can kind of get thrown there and almost kind of trapped in the middle. So I wasn't necessarily. I think they got to tweak that setup if they're going to do a steel cage match again, just to get that off right out the bat.
I agree with that. I mean, this is the first one that they've done, right? So you kind of have to trial and error when it comes to this. I mean, AEW is trying to be, a professional wrestling company, but different from the norm as well, right? So you're trying to do a little bit of a different style steel cage match. Honestly, it looked taller. It looked
it was tall,
bigger than like a WWE steel cage. So. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to be different, and they're trying to do things, a little bit more outside the box, no pun intended. But, I mean...
Given that right there...
Needs to be tweaked a little.
Given that what you said there, too, what did you think of the stipulation that you had to win by pinfall or submission? And basically climbing out of the cage wasn't an option. What did you think about that? Because that's a twist on the steel cage match, because in WWE, you can escape and win the match that way or open the door.
Yeah, open the door or climb over the top. I'm okay with pinfall or submission in there.
It feels more old school that way, I think.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I was a fan of that. I'm like, yep, this is cool. I'm okay with that. There's no way that they can escape out and then the match is just done. Nope, not going to happen. They actually have to pin or submit their opponent.
Because there's been some matches that have ended really kind of anticlimactically because of that, where you've had kind of doing this whole back and forth on all these big spots, only to have one guy climb up and then just drop down and hit the floor. Those kind of finishes always felt really kind of, like I said, anticlimactic when you have all this and it just ends very suddenly. So I like the approach of ending with a submission or a pin in the ring, and I think that's a really good thing. Having said all that now, Karl, the match ended with Cody doing this big moonsault spot off the top onto Wardlow winning the match. I got to say, just so far, I think that Cody, and this is just a personal opinion of mine, I don't know if there's anyone that's going to agree with me on this, or if you will, that it feels like he's putting his body in the line just way too much with some of the stuff. I mean, when you just look at him now, like he's getting beat up. I mean, it's helping to put some people over, I guess, but I think that he's got to tone it down a little bit, Karl, because damn it, I mean, he's going to end up really hurting himself. He's taken some dangerous spots. There was one recently, I forget who it was with, but he kind of dove out and essentially almost kind of spiked his own head kind of into the ramp there, getting cut open, the chair spot with Sean Spears, this, given that wasn't really necessarily his fault, this moonsault off the top, just, dude, you got to slow down a little bit. You're one of the executive presidents of the company. Just tone it down a little bit, buddy. You're pushing too hard. I understand that you want to set the example and set the tone, but I think he's going a little too far, Karl. He's trying to be Triple H, I feel like.
I more equate it to like Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Kurt Angle had a match with Shane McMahon at King of the Ring.
Oh, that still is
right.
Oh,
and then
God, yeah.
Kurt Angle has done moonsaults off of the top of the steel cage as well.
Brock Lesnar.
So what's the difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference between like Kurt Angle doing it and everybody losing their crap about it, going, this is the best of the best, and now and you're not the only one. I've heard other people saying this as well. This is why I'm saying this and bringing this up. So why is it different now with Cody? Now I get that he's an executive with the company. I understand that.
That's
definitely
the difference.
I do, but I mean I'm a management in the company that I work for, and I'm still out there in the field every day.
True.
Right. So I'm okay with it. I don't think he needs to tone it down at all. I think what he's doing is phenomenal, and it's putting a good spotlight on things. Now people are going to say, oh, but he got injured. He got hurt. That happens in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
You get hurt.
Yeah.
It happens. Like,
I'm
cool. Okay with it. I think he's doing good.
I'm cool as long as they can do this stuff safely. But if it's going to compromise his management role, I think that they need to make a bit of an adjustment to say, we can still do something similar, but it doesn't have to be to where we're cheating death with this stuff, right? So we don't want it to turn to like this Shane McMahon stuff, or like you had mentioned this match with Shane and Kurt Angle. You had just mentioned that I still get flashbacks of Kurt getting dumped on his fucking head on the concrete, and God, it's. I don't want to see Cody get hurt because he's got to help run this company at the same time. He's got to be careful, Karl.
I don't know. I think what he's doing is fine.
Yeah, and
I don't see it as him being reckless or anything like that at all. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing in that ring.
True. Yeah.
So, this injury that happened with this steel cage match, he knew the risks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I like the impact of it and everything too that's having. Like I just said, just to have some longevity here, he's got to be careful. To me, it's still the big one was that chair shot that he took. I understand that wasn't necessarily his fault. I think it may have been, maybe he wasn't in the right position for that. But I mean, dude, that one in particular, that could have ended his career if it had gone any worse than that. So
definitely.
Yeah.
But now let's say that was MJF instead of Cody. Are you still saying the same thing, that he needs to tone it down?
I would still be saying the same thing, yeah. Because it just like I said, the like you said, what's the difference between him doing that and him and like Kurt Angle doing this? Is Kurt Angle wasn't upper management in WWE going on. Cody has to help run this company, and if he can't do that because he's been injured, it compromises things there a little bit. So that's where I just think that they need to be a little bit more careful and just say, hey, Cody, you don't need to kill yourself out there. You can still make a big impact, but let's just find a way to do this so it lowers the risk a little bit. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
It's a typical move that happens. It's typical stuff that happens. It's not like he was lighting himself on fire and running around trying to grab Wardlow and catch him on fire as well.
Better not do that. Yeah,
right?
That, yeah.
Like, I mean, these are norms in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Top of the steel cage, there's going to be a dive, there's going to be a moonsault, there's going to be a swanton, there's going to be something, right?
Speaking
Everybody
English.
does it.
Speaking of which, Wardlow did a swanton move there. Very impressive for a bigger guy. He pulled that off well, and he nailed it perfectly, so I got to give him props for that. Thanks for mentioning that. All right, Karl, before we do our Showstopper segment for this week, let's do our Match of the Week segment. Now, mine's kind of an interesting pick here. I don't know. I think you went first last week. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first again this week? Okay.
Go first.
Mine comes from an unexpected source here, Karl. I don't think I've ever picked one from this particular brand or company. We're talking, this one is coming from WWE NXT UK, Karl. So this is my first time picking a match from this promotion here. And this was actually the lead-off match for the most recent episode of WWE NXT UK, match between Tyler Bate and Joseph Connors. This was a fantastic match here, Karl. I'm a fan of these good technical matches with great back and forth, great psychology. Tyler Bate ended up getting the win here, and this was just a great match to kind of lead off. It's one of these cases where they did a lot of good stuff, but they didn't do too much to bury the rest of the show. And I got to say, it's been a little while since I've watched NXT UK as well. I love the atmosphere of that place. Even their in-ring announcer, who almost sounds kind of like he almost kind of has like a Drew McIntyre kind of. He's obviously, I think, Scottish and has an accent. It sets that whole tone, and it feels unique compared to every other WWE brand. I got to start watching more NXT UK because this match is fantastic, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I mean, I still have NXT and NXT UK that tape on my PVR so that I can go back and watch.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I every week I'm watching. Definitely I am. And I mean, that's that was a fantastic match.
Yep. Okay, what's your pick?
My pick, coming again from AEW.
Ooh.
Not the steel cage match,
okay,
believe it or not, but the Lucha Brothers versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page.
No.
Man, that was just, great match. All four of those guys, I mean, definitely know exactly what they are doing in that ring. They clearly are seasoned veterans. Just everything that kind of happened. And again, this is helping to continue to build on story.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't just, this is still Hangman is having issues. Hangman and Kenny Omega, didn't have, this time at least they didn't have any communication issues.
Yep.
Right? They managed to score the win with a combination of both of their finishers.
Yeah. That's a cool move, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way they do that.
Me too. Yep. Me too. So this is like helping to kind of build, right? Because first, Hangman Page is kind of like, well, I'm just the outcast. I'm just the nobody. I don't care. Whatever. I'm done. Right. But now they kind of seem to be working a little bit more together, and it seems to be kind of rebuilding all of that relationship, right, to culminate in either a fantastic reunion or a fantastic explosion. Either or. But that's my biggest takeaway from this, is that they were working together this time.
Yep.
And it was really building story.
What's really good with this with Paige, I mean, they're doing fantastic stuff with him, and he's kind of taking that ball and running with it too, and doing exactly what he needs to do. He knows how to work the crowd. He's definitely, you can tell he's worked with some producers and he knows how to kind of work that audience and does it very, very well. Just doing cowboy shit, Karl, and it's fantastic. And the stuff with Omega, I think with this though, I think a lot of people are expecting some kind of turn, some kind of heel or bad guy turn, and I definitely agree, but I don't think it's coming from where people are expecting. I think everybody's expecting Hangman to turn on Omega. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think Omega is going to be the one that actually turns on Page, and it might even go as far as Omega could be this exalted one with the Dark Order. They could pull that angle as well. So I think that it's going to be almost kind of like a double cross that people aren't expecting. So
could very well be.
Yeah, I'd love to see Kenny actually play a full-on heel to see if he can do it, because I'm not sure if he's really kind of done that role necessarily. So,
not really.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it would be interesting.
Yeah, to see if he can pull it off. All right, Karl, let's take a brief break here. We're going to come back with our Showstopper segment, just purely entitled "You Deserve It or Do You Earn It?" We'll be right back, folks. This week's episode is brought to you by Collar & Elbow, Visit colorandelbrand.com where you can get an additional 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast at the checkout, including this week's featured item, the Mirror Pullover Hoodie. All right, guys, Big Joe and Karl Karufel back here on Turnbuckle Talk.
Yes, we are, people, and we are at our favorite time of the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, we give to you our Showstopper Segment.
Yeah, kind of an interesting one here this week here, Karl. And I think that this partially kind of stems from what you had kind of mentioned earlier in the episode with deserving things over kind of earning them. And this kind of comes also from our own Mr. Rick Vickery from the Hitting the Mark Pro Wrestling podcast. I know this is something he's always really, really big on. Whenever I've used the word deserve, or anybody on this network uses the word deserve, he's like, no, it's not deserve, it's earned. I thought to kind of start off in this conversation here, because this we'll definitely be looking at this from a pro wrestling context, but it may branch off into some other things. When you go to, I'm actually on Merriam-Webster right now, and just typed in the word deserve to get the actual meaning of the word. And the meaning of the word deserve, according to Merriam-Webster, is to be worthy, fit, or suitable for some reward or requital. So it's basically saying that to deserve means that you're worthy of, or suited for, or fit for something. So I think given that definition, and when you put it up against earn, I mean, it's similar but slightly different. Now,
So do you have earn?
Yeah, it's basically the definition for the word earn is to receive as return for effort, and especially for work done or services rendered. So it's kind of, the words are a little bit similar, but I think it's kind of open to interpretation. And I think that people, when they think of the word deserve, I think some people, it's almost a feeling of entitlement as opposed to actually getting something for putting work into. I think that's where people are interpreting this, and it is correct. That is the correct way to think of it.
Yep, I mean that's exactly how I think of it when I hear the word deserve.
Mm-hmm.
That it's almost an entitlement.
Right. And according to Merriam-Webster, they don't really kind of word it that way, but yeah, it definitely feels that that's the case. And to kind of tie this into what we had mentioned briefly with the Bellas in getting to the WWE Hall of Fame, for me, it's almost that deserve or entitlement feeling at them. I don't necessarily feel that they've earned that. Again, I know that's completely open to interpretation, and people can agree to disagree, and vice versa. But this is something that has really crept its way into wrestling, even just from the crowd's reaction to a lot of stuff going on. The "you deserve a" chant, we hear it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you deserve it is
Yeah.
a lot better than you earn it,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, in that aspect, totally, I get that. When it comes to the Bellas, yeah, I think that this is more of a deserve instead of an earn.
Yeah.
Definitely, when it comes to at least their in-ring work,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't earn that, right?
Yeah.
But for the contributions that they've made to professional wrestling, they deserve it.
Mm-hmm. I'm almost hoping that at some point, I don't care what company it is, that when that chant starts, that somebody, I think maybe arguably a heel would be best positioned to do this, to be like, no, not deserve it, I earned this, right? And somebody to kind of step up and bury that chant, or at least kind of flip it to, no, I'm not entitled, I didn't kind of just get this handed to me, I worked hard and I earned it. And I totally get that approach too. I know some people, like I said, our own Rick Vickery is one that is notorious for this. Whenever the word deserve is used anywhere, it's like, no, earned. You earned it. And I totally get it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, Mr. Rick Vickery there,
Yes.
R to the B to the V.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think he's right in what he says there, definitely. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It's like you said, it's very open to interpretation. It definitely is. And I mean, other people are going to interpret it differently, and some people are going to see these two words as just being equals as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's how they're observing and perceiving it, right? Yeah. I mean, in this context, anyways, it's hard because in both aspects, for a recognition,
Mm-hmm.
of sorts, whether it's, the WWE Hall of Fame, whether it is, Cauliflower Alley Club, whether it's, the Hockey Hall of Fame, whether it's the, Baseball Hall of Fame, whether it's, the Walk of Fame, whatever it is, right? You've got those people that have earned it,
Yeah.
and you've got the people that deserve it,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, it's
And at the same time, too, I think that the both words could apply to the same person. I think that probably the best example to use would be The Undertaker. There's somebody who has definitely earned it, but at the same time also deserves it as well.
yeah, definitely.
So,
And I mean, I'm going to go back to last week when we actually picked, some people that we would love to see in the Hall of Fame. And I talked about the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. That's another name that kind of includes both.
yes.
Definitely it does,
Absolutely.
right? So, yeah, I mean, but then you get like they do the celebrities for the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. Well, they haven't earned it,
No.
but due to the contributions that they've made, they deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely, I agree. All right, man. Before we go, let's hit on some a little bit of breaking news stuff here. Now, I don't know if you had a chance to watch this. I think it happened. It was either sometime this weekend. This match between the boxing match that Tyson Fury had. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it. I haven't, but he did win that. Looks like by a decision, or I think it was a technical knockout.
Yep.
Having said that, I think that people are expecting that he's one that said they're going to use him in WrestleMania, or that Vince is going to want to use him. We'll see. I'm hoping that maybe this will be something that they do in Saudi instead of WrestleMania, because I don't know. I don't know if there's enough time or enough context to really set something. I mean, do you do something with Braun Strowman or Brock Lesnar? I don't know. I'm just not a fan of using this guy. I don't think that he has all this crossover or just mainstream appeal that people seem to think. Because there were some people I was looking on Facebook, and people were trying to sell this as a big thing. And until I actually heard Rick and Jargo talk about it in HTM Sports, I had no idea that this match was even happening. This boxing match, I had no idea. And people were like, "Oh, this is this big thing happening." I'm like, I had no clue. And I'm somebody that tries to pay attention to kind of what's going on, and I hadn't seen anything on TSN about it. This flew right under the radar for me, and I don't know about bringing him back over the WWE. I'm not necessarily a fan of that idea.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. I mean, again, it comes back to you have a plethora of talent available to you. Why do you need to bring in a boxing star into a professional wrestling match?
Mm-hmm.
Go back to the days when you had, like just them making appearances and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
How would it have been back in the day if Pamela Anderson had gotten into the ring instead of just being, like a celebrity there, right?
Yeah.
That's how I feel on it. Like they don't need to be in that professional wrestling ring.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a professional wrestler. Leave that to the talent that you have there. But if you want to draw some numbers, definitely have this guy, Tyson Fury, the man who just won, the world boxing belt. Have him make an appearance of sorts. Have him endorsing maybe, some other guy. Something like that to have a little bit of crossover appeal, but he doesn't need to be in the professional wrestling ring.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. This other one here is quite something here, Karl. And this isn't the first time this guy has kind of stirred the pot, especially with WWE. Headline here reads, ex-WWE star calls Vince McMahon a quote-unquote scumbag. Now, this is coming from former WWE superstar Billy Graham, who wrote the following on Facebook in regards to Vicky Guerrero not being able to book WWE guests on her podcast due to an AEW appearance. Yes. So this is the quote here, Karl. This scumbag bastard Vince McMahon has blocked Vicky Guerrero from using any of his so-called superstars on her podcast because she went on a AEW Chris Jericho cruise ship tour. This man has to be the single most evil human being walking the face of the earth. To deny a woman's right to make a living when her husband gave his life for this unworthy pile of dung. He wouldn't let her have any of his talent or to simply sit and talk on a podcast. Well, this coming Thursday, February 27th, he will be putting on a show in Saudi Arabia with his partner, the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salam, who will be paying $50 million for this one-night show. And oh yes, personally ordered the murder and dismemberment of American journalist Jamal Khashoggi. I'm probably not saying that properly. The ever-greedy Vince will take $50 million soaked in Khashoggi's blood, but won't let Vicky Guerrero make some nickels and dimes doing a podcast. What a two-faced, selfish bastard. That bastard will burn in hell. Wow. That's quite the...
very strong words.
Quite the strong words. Is Billy Graham in the WWE Hall of Fame?
I don't know, to be honest.
I kind of want to search this up because this would be the kind of thing that could get your ass booted out of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it definitely could.
I kind of want to look this up here just to kind of see here. Is Billy Graham in the WWE Hall of Fame? In the
2004.
2004, so he did get in. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. This is... It'd be interesting to see if there's any kind of reaction or follow to this one, because this is some pretty heavy choice words. And to be honest here, Karl, I don't know, you may disagree with me. He's kind of right on some of this stuff.
No, definitely he is. Yes, definitely he is.
Yeah.
Over several years now, superstar Billy Graham has been very anti WWE. I mean, going back even as far as like January 2013, superstar Billy Graham, it says here, last request to be removed from the index of the WWE Hall of Fame. He doesn't even care to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. That's how much how much disdain he has over the WWE. And totally, I get it. I definitely get it. Yeah, like it just seems like it's not. We talked about this. It's not like it's a legitimate Hall of Fame. It's just like a Vince McMahon likes you fan club, pretty much. Is how it's turned into.
Yeah.
It wasn't that way in the beginning, but unfortunately, that's the way it's turned.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I would kind of mention here, and this was not so much with WWE wrestling talent, but with, I guess you almost kind of call her, she was, quote unquote, maybe like kind of the interview girl kind of back. So you're talking about Kathy Kelly, and she has decided to leave the company, apparently under the grounds that she was just feeling exhausted from the schedule. Just for her career, Karl, I'll make the argument here. I think this is probably a pretty bad move for her. I mean, she had a really, really good spot there, and I think honestly should have stayed there, because I think going outside of WWE, just given kind of the nature of it, I mean, nothing against her, but girl interviewers like her like that, I mean, they're a dime a dozen, and they're all over the place here, Karl. I see her having kind of a hard time on the indie scene if she wants to keep going down, being kind of this interview person with professional wrestling. I don't see it panning well for her outside of the WWE, like, unless you're like an Alicia Tout or somebody who actually has a lot of knowledge about the wrestling business. She was kind of like a pretty face kind of there. So I don't know. She might want to seek some other kind of line of work, because I don't think that she'll be able to kind of recreate the success that she had in WWE outside of the company.
I mean, you could look at that in a couple of different ways, right? Like, you could definitely say that, yes, the approach that you're saying is correct, but this might also help her because she is former WWE, right? Yeah. So that could be a help for her as well. Yeah. We've talked about it before. I suffer from some mental health issues. And I mean, if you're on the verge of breakdown or something like that, because of the work and the position that you're in, and you need to take a step back, you have to do it. Yeah. If she were to die today, within an hour, the WWE would have, a posting up saying, "Hey, we need a new announcer. We need a new backstage personality." Yeah. Right. So, should she really, kill herself over a job that, is making her feel this way? No. Yeah. So she has the opportunity to get out on good graces, It's, like there's no bad blood or anything like that.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Get out, do what you have to do to be safe for yourself and keep yourself healthy.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not she does, kind of make it to this kind of level and caliber with another company is like,
Yeah.
we're going to have to wait and see, right?
Yeah.
But even if she doesn't, and she decides that, she wants to go into a different avenue, there's a lot of different avenues that she can go into to be able to make money at, interviewing or talking or anything like that, right?
I'm thinking
What's to say that a sports network doesn't see what she's done and pick her up?
That's
right?
what I'm thinking. Like some kind of talk show, sports kind of person, I think would be right up her alley. And I think she would stand a much better chance with that. All right, man. Well, I guess that about wraps up for this week. We've covered a lot in this episode here. Or no, Carl's got something else. What do you got, man?
I got one more thing
Okay.
for everybody. We're going to end this on a positive high note right now.
Okay.
With some wicked cool toys. Ladies and gentlemen, there's actually a company called Wicked Cool Toys.
Oh, wow.
And they have made some amazing looking all elite wrestling unrivaled figures. If you have not seen these yet, you really need to go online. Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, MJF is another name that's in there as well. Like, these action figures look freaking fantastic. There's a Brandy Rhodes one as well. Like, I am like, just, I'm shook. Like, this is just amazing. The MJF one is not in this first collection.
Okay.
But they are making more. And MJF had actually posted a photo of his figure with the scarf and everything on his social media pages. But yeah, Unrivaled 1, the set includes Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, Jericho, Matt and Nick Jackson, Brandy Rhodes. And it says, look out for the chase and rare figures as well.
Interesting.
So Wicked Cool Toys going through and doing some amazing stuff. Not sponsored by these people at all, but Ringside Collectibles, they are available for pre-order there for early July. You can get the entire set of 6 figures for $139.99 American.
Yeah.
So not a bad deal, to be honest. You get all 6 of the figures from the first unrivaled AEW action figure collection from Wicked Cool Toys.
Yeah, interesting. I'm on their website right now, and actually they're featured right on the front page. And yeah, they also apparently do some Pokemon stuff. They do some Micro Machine stuff, some Halo stuff, some Cabbage Patch Kid stuff. I mean, they're kind of all over the map there. So yeah, interesting and cool partnership and action figures. Yeah, I would think video games have got to be next, Karl.
Oh, definitely. I am super excited and hoping that a video game is going to be coming out for AEW soon. I mean, I figure 2021, probably. They're going to get through 2020 first. Get the action figures and stuff like that going first, but then 2021 release a video game. But yeah, I'm super excited for these action figures, and I'm really hoping that at some point I can maybe get all of them. Whether I have to order from, Ringside Collectibles to have them brought in, but I hope that maybe Walmart Canada carries them.
Maybe.
Because that's the only thing that I really have here in my location is Walmart that would carry these types of toys. And maybe, hopefully, I can find some chase and rare figures because I'm all about those collectibles.
For sure, man. Yeah, I have a little bit of a collection here of some stuff. I know that your wrestling collection is a lot more impressive than mine, but I could totally see you getting some of those for sure.
Oh, yeah. So there we go, people. A high note to end on. AEW partnering up with Wicked Cool Toys has their own action figure collection coming out.
Very cool.
Wave 1 has already been done. Well, soon. They're working on them, getting them finished, and then they're going to be out probably mid to late July, I would say, available. So awesome stuff. And they've already shown that they have more that they're going to be doing. So
Very cool.
Fantastic to see that AEW is continuing to grow and climb. And so I mean, for all of you, help us grow and climb too. Go to our social media pages at TB Talk Pod. Give us a like there. And if you didn't know, you can even find us on YouTube. We are available on YouTube. Our episodes go there every single week. It is audio only. There is no video for it, but audio only. And definitely go and check us out on YouTube as well. You can find us, Turnbuckle Talk, there. Help us grow as well. I mean, I don't know what more to say to that. I mean, make sure that you're liking our stuff, like our page, like our posts, stuff like that. That helps the algorithms within the social media stuff and helps us get noticed a little bit more. So if you like what you're hearing and you like what we're doing, like it and share it so that everyone else can see too.
Absolutely. The only thing I think I would like to mention before we end off this week here is that we do have a new potential partnership kind of brewing, kind of based around where you're locally located here, Karl. So nothing quite set in stone yet, but stay tuned. We have something potentially cool kind of in the works, kind of going forward. So once we kind of know more about that, and once it's kind of a done deal, then we'll kind of let you know. But for now, just a little tease there for you.
That's right. Yes.
All right, man. Let's end it off for this week, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Have a nice day.
It's me, it's an R&B to beat. As you can tell in the background, we are out celebrating. That is what we do here at hittingthemarks.com. And I invite everyone to continue to tune in to Turnbuckle Talk, but check out all of our other shows. We have weekly content, especially lit up by the flagship show, Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast. You can find that all at hittingthemarks.com.
Run.